I want to just say a few words about Michael Galligan-Stierle. He is the head, the president of the Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities. So in that position, it's kind of a big role that he has a big role in the small world of Catholic higher education in the United States. And many of us have known him over the years for his leadership in Catholic higher education. But I am thinking back to my very first encounter, which was not in person, but via email, when Bob Connolly and I were writing a couple of articles that were published in the Journal of Catholic Higher Education. And Michael is an excellent editor, right down to every word, every punctuation. So he goes from, his talent spans from the very micro to the very macro and back again. So I've known him from that and from other things. And one time we actually were stuck together in South Bend, Indiana for a long afternoon waiting for a plane to come and get us away from Notre Dame. So that was a particularly interesting gathering. So,
quite the collection of events.
Yes, little memories that you stitched together over a lifetime. Well, not even that. So today, Michael is going to be actually giving almost his third presentation here. He spoke last night to the Board of Trustees and talked to them about the role of the Board of Trustees in establishing a vision for a university. Did a very excellent process, got people talking, it was wonderful. And this morning at the Board of Trustees, he actually kind of wrapped up our visioning session and was able to collect together 12 points on a checklist of what we should be looking for in a new president. So he has a lot of experience, a lot of good ideas, and he will talk to us probably for about 30 or 40 minutes. Michael, with no further ado, welcome.
Happy to be here. Okay. So let me add a word or two about my past. So 30 years in higher education, 15 on the public side, 15 on the Catholic side of higher ed. During that time, I was a university professor, director of campus ministry, seminary professor, director of internship programs, honors programs. Worked with Sister Martha Ann Kirk on a national convention, one of probably 10 that I ran. And then in 2000, I came to Washington, D.C., and for the last 17 years, I've been the person that in one way or another has interacted with Rome, the bishops, and Catholic universities. For a period of time, I worked for the U.S. bishops, and I was the go-between between the U.S. Church and all issues in Rome that have to do with higher ed. And then this organization, the Association of Catholic Colleges, brought me in as first vice president. You already heard that part of that role was to be a journal editor. And then I moved at the board's urging. When I told them I could never be their president, they somehow talked me into that. I also told them that I was ready to retire, and they talked me out of that. So here I am today. So I can be induced to do things, even though I think I have a path. Clicker? Great. Okay. With some luck, this will work here. Let's see if I get the right button. Okay, then. So what are we going to do today? I want to give you an ACCU overview. This is my 4-minute commercial, because some of you here maybe could interact with ACCU in other ways. I did not speak at the last two events about this, but I will take 3-4 minutes to talk about that here. Then I want to give you the 5-minute summary of last night's 40-minute presentation on the board responsibilities. So you weren't there, but I'm going to bring you up to speed on what I said in the spirit of transparency, and there's some board members in the room so they can add to it. Then I want to talk about the 4 roles of a Catholic higher ed president. All right, here we go. So we were founded as an organization over 100 years ago by Monsignor Conati. There was no organization of Catholic universities. The presidents were angry at the bishops. This is a theme that's run through our 120 years, and actually Catholic universities were started by bishops, started by Rome. There weren't any universities to begin with. We started them back in 1000. So we've been at the university business longer than anyone. But there's always been this love and hate relationship with the universal church in all of our history. So there's nothing new here. But anyway, the bishop said, look, the presidents are really mad at us for opening the Catholic University of America. Why don't you get them all together, hear what they have to say, and then see if you can work it out. So Monsignor Conedy, who was the president of Catholic University of America, got everybody together, the presidents that existed then. They got in a meeting. 3 days later, they elected him president of their new association, the Association of Catholic Colleges and Universities. I don't know what he said in those 3 days, but it must have been pretty impressive to get them all aboard. And what they came up with is their goal is the goal of what we are today, which is that our goal as an association is to serve 200 schools and help them grow in their Catholic mission and identity, and to be the collective voice of Catholic higher ed. We do that through membership. So most of the 200 Catholic universities are our members. We have a board that I report to. This is how we're collective voice and we provide programming. So this university is one of 200 schools that I serve, and our staff serves you. These are some of the programs we run. So we have an academic journal that's in your library. We have a newsletter that goes out to 5,000 people. If you're not signed up for it, we ought to get you on the mail list. We have national conferences. We have small meetings, large meetings, collectives. We do white papers. We do research projects. We give grants to university professors and student affairs officials to do research and improve Catholic identity and university mission on your campus. These are some of the things we do. I invite you to our website. This is the 4-minute talk. I have to speed it along, okay? But check out our website and see if there's some things that you might want to be engaged with us. We'd love to have you. So now I'm done. Any questions about ACCU? I did that in 4 minutes, right?
Keep doing it.
200 schools. Okay. Next item. 3 to 5 minutes on this. This is what I said last night in a 40-minute presentation to the board. I said to them there are five issues, 5 questions, which most boards should ask themselves and some don't, and they don't know the answers to. So I'm going to challenge you to think about this seriously. And these were the 5 questions I brought forward. What is the board's first and most sacred responsibility? Second, how does the board effectively execute that responsibility? Third, in addition to helping to secure resources, what 3 variables must the board prioritize in deciding a financial path forward? By the way, this PowerPoint will be up on our website this afternoon, so don't worry about it. You'll get to see it. And what are the 2 most important decisions that need to be reassessed annually by the board? And lastly, what is a common mistake of a nonprofit board? They were the 5 questions I put in front of them. After each of them, I gave them time to talk at their table. And then I shared my answer, but also solicited from the group their ideas. Because some of these, there's not just exactly one right answer. But I didn't take all those notes. I'm going to give you my 5 answers, which are the 5 that I think came forward and were agreed upon by and large. And they are, the board has to set direction and has to be grounded on the founding community's mission belief. But it can't go backwards, it has to go forward. So what's the vision for this university going forward with a new president? That's the responsibility of the board, not the responsibility of the president. Most schools get that wrong. Second, my bad. How does the board effectively execute? They have to design a strategic plan for the university. And you do that with SMART goals. SMART stands for a series of words that help the person and the board understand what they're to be held accountable to. So you have to be able to, they have to be timely, they have to be accessible, they have to be relevant, et cetera, et cetera. Each of those letters stands for something, so that's what SMART goals are. Third, what do we need to prioritize regarding a financial path? These are the 3 dimensions to make every university run that most people at the university don't want to hear. including a board, including faculty, including staff, including you who want to raise, including you who are the religious community members that would like the school to be something maybe it's not doing exactly right. Because Arne Duncan coined this and he called it the iron triangle. It's not malleable. You can't just like get rid of it. These things are locked together in a very significant way, and they're very hard to change, and they're very hard to move. And those three things are always playing against each other. Anybody here against increasing access? Anybody here against improving quality? Anybody here against trying to constrain costs so you can actually make payroll? No. But honestly, all three of these things are against one another and have to be worked out. So it falls to the board to give to the president, the president's team, the task of designing something that the board approves on how you weigh these things. You can't let in thousands and thousands of students here for free. You could improve access. You can't afford it. Do you want to lend 50 in free? Do you want to lend 50 in halftime? See where I'm going? You might want to improve quality. You want the biology department to be the best in the country. Good idea. So what does that mean to the humanities? See where I'm going? So these are the things that have to be worked out. Okay, those are the first three. My other two. The most important decision. Every year, the board has to ask itself, is this person the right president for us? By year 7, every board gets tired and doesn't ask the question anymore. Big mistake by a board. By year 7, most boards stop asking the question. You're coming off 31 years. Second, is the board doing everything they can to help the president succeed? Those questions have to be asked together because you can't put it all on the president, you can't put it all on the board. There's a dance and a support that has to happen. And last, common mistake that most people at the institution, including the board, are willing to accept personal story as verification for success rather than metrics, statistics, and analytics. So let me tell you about this student that was deeply moved by the Catholic faith. Let me tell you this student that's given their lives to be a biology major. Let me tell you this student that now is going to Broadway and is successful on Broadway. God bless those 3 students. That doesn't say anything about the quality of your theater program, about your biology program, or about the quality of the faith life on the campus. It tells you what 3 individuals do, and God bless them, they did good things. But it's very important that the board get strict metrics and statistics and analytics to make future decisions and say to the president, we gave you a strategic plan. What are the metrics to show us, the statistical analysis to show us that you reached level 1 by the timeline we gave you for level 1? Okay? This is the most common mistake by nonprofits. So now I want to talk about the four characteristics I think are really important to have a Catholic higher ed president. When you came in, you received a little brochure or pamphlet, and it's on the presidency. I want to just say that ACCU has 12 of these, which you can find on our website. They're all free. 6 are of people and 6 are of concepts. So what's a concept? Faith and reason's a concept. Who's a person? Faculty. So president, faculty, board member, those are people. Concepts are Catholic social teaching, faith and reason, Catholic identity, those are they're all on our website. And if you want to do a little deeper dive on, hey, we should educate our board, hey, we should educate our faculty, this book has all 12 in it, and the back has all 12 in Spanish in it. So this is a bilingual text that has all 12 concepts in it. Again, we have that in the national office. These 4 are what I consider important qualities, and your last 3 speakers talked about these, didn't organize it this way, but I took some of their ideas, merged it into my ideas, and brought this forward because this is the first time I've done this presentation. So I would say a person who is responsible to leading a university should, one, personify the mission, second, be able to articulate well in all circumstances what the university is and why it exists, what it is, why it exists, how it operates, who's engaged, and is able to deliver an excellent product based upon the strategic plan. And lastly, celebrate the events that make the university good and great going forward. So to touch each of those, personify. So this university is grounded in a group of religious sisters who had a vision for this school. Part of that vision had to do with making God's love incarnate. That is real. Some of you will know the word incarnation. It's taken from the concept that God became man, became a human person in life. That's the incarnation. Incarnate comes from that. The idea to make fleshy, to make real. And so God's love is trying to be visible and clear in the work of the religious sisters here, in the work of God here, in one way or another. And so to personify that is important for your president. Not important for any president, but for yours in particular, it should be one of the characteristics. Now, there was a day in Catholic higher ed when the way a religious community did this was it looked at who were the religious sisters or who were the religious priests or brothers and selected one of their own to run that institution. That has been on a steady decline in choice of boards since for about the last 50 years, okay? In the year 206-207, the seesaw swang in the other direction. So if there's 200 schools, in the year 206-207, there were 100 lay and 100 religious or priests that were presidents. And now that's steadily increasing, going up. So there's been a steady incline and decline, as you can see there, of presidents. And now there are 130 lay presidents, and there are 70 sisters or priests that are presidents. And that will change, I would say, by 50%, I would say, in the next 5 to 7 years. We'll be north of 150 in just a couple years. This emergence of laity is very important because it's grounded in the work of the Vatican Council and the bishops who said that by baptism, all of us are part of God's community and the kingdom of God, and we all have the gifts of baptism and the Holy Spirit to live out God's call and love in the world. And so other than a sacrament that would be, that is, given by a priest or being the person who works with God for that sacrament, lay people are in a position to do everything else that needs to be done in the church, in God's world. And so this theological concept or change in our teachings within Catholicism has created this growth in the lay involvement. The U.S. bishops coined the phrase co-workers in the vineyard with the idea that standing side by side with the religious, the priest, and the laity, that God's vineyard could grow. That is, what do we want to grow? We want to grow this reality within our educational institutions. We want to be about the search for truth, knowing these two things simultaneously. One is that we've already encountered God, and God is truth. And at the same time, truth is unknown totally. So we have a responsibility to find it at all costs. So in part, we're certain, and in part, we're not completely in knowing everything. And so a university is the place where those two things work together. We never want to slow up researchers' creative thinking about where truth might lie. This is grounded in our teachings from the beginning, This line here is from Ex Corde Ecclesiae that was created by Pope John Paul II. So this is very much a part of who we are. Thomas Aquinas says, no matter what the church says, no matter what church teaching says, if you see truth and are completely convicted by it, God will hold you responsible whether you follow truth or not. This is very important. This is grounded in who we are as Catholics. So we want to go after truth. Dennis Holzschneider put it this way for you. Faculty want to be led by someone who knows their life, maybe not a scholar, but someone that absolutely always loves scholarship. So we have some of our schools that it's not a faculty member who now is a president. It might be someone who loves education, and loves the work of education, but may not have been, quote, a faculty member. Now, having said that, the majority of our presidents have been faculty members, but that doesn't necessarily mean the person has to be, and some in our cohort are excellent at it. The two things I think are important is to hold Catholic identity and the university mission together simultaneously. I liken it to potato salad. It's important to remember a Catholic university is made up of two words, Catholic university. University's the noun, Catholic's the adjective. University's the noun, so you're in the business of education. How do you do that? We do that with a Catholic flavoring. Do you ever try to eat potatoes straight up with nothing on it? But if you added some mayo and some egg and salt and pepper, a little bit of onion, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, does it enrich that potato? Yes. Some people just a little bit of butter, a little salt, a little sour cream. No, skip the sour, right, a little bit, right? That makes it distinctive. That's a Catholic university. If you just deliver straight up potato, or just straight Catholic, you don't have a Catholic university. For potato salad to work, it has to be integrated. Don't eat straight mayo, don't eat straight potato. Put it together. So that's the dance that has to happen here. That is Catholic identity and university mission. Okay. Donna Carroll talked about this, is your president needs to be at home with all of that. That is, they have to be at one with, make it a lifestyle choice, make a vocational choice to be committed to university mission and Catholic identity together. So in summary, personify. What would I say? Does the person share the values? Does the person have the respect to the faculty? Is the person a credible face in the community to incarnate word? Then you know you have a person that's personifying what it means to be a president. The next part I want to take you to is articulate. That is, this person needs to be able to recognize that at the very beginning, Jesus said, go teach all nations. And not mix that up with this Catholic lore that gets put in sometimes. I like like this line that says, we don't teach others because they're Catholics. We teach all people or others because we're Catholic. So, as John Paul says, we invite everyone to Catholic universities. This isn't just for Catholics, we invite everyone. We want to be Catholic, but we invite everybody in to learn. And we want to hear what you have because we will be better by hearing what you have. It's very important. And that needs to be articulated from the start by the person who has this role. That an ability to say, our schools, we've been at this longer than anyone in the world, over 1,000 years. We know how to do this well. How well do we know how to do this is a fast fact, not on the screen, but you may not know there's 21 million students in higher ed right now. There are 1 million in Catholic higher ed. Of all the schools that exist in the U.S., you know who graduates students faster? Catholic universities. Two-year schools graduate at 13%. We graduate at plus 60%. There's a huge difference between those two. Okay? We're good at this. When I get a newspaper reporter call that says, why do you think you're so good at it? I said, been at 1,000 years. Even if we're slow learners, we got it. Okay? We get it. To know that over 100 years ago, there was a move to the liberal arts that was essential, and that was verbalized and written down by John Henry Cardinal Newman about a Catholic university and how a Catholic university could exist. Okay? The idea of a university. These ideas need to be articulated and be able to move forward. It can't sit back 100 years ago. It can't sit back when the university mission was created. It has to be refreshed, but they have to be able to articulate where it came from. They have to understand that at a university there's going to be push and pull. It's not just a place where niceties are always brought forward, but listen to this Newman quote. A place where inquiry is pushed forward, discoveries verified and perfected, love this next line, and rashness rendered innocuous. Error exposed by the collision of mind with mind and knowledge with knowledge. This is a real university at work. This is what Newman described as we are at our best when we do this. John Paul II's way of saying it is that there are 4 characteristics every university should have, and the president should be able to articulate these. This is the language that John Paul II used. That's going to be too complicated for now. So I'm going to give you the short version, which is, but you can go back and see the longer version. At this school, someone should be inspired to live Christian values in the Christian life. They should want to choose the good. They should catch it, okay? They should be inspired to do that. Second, they should connect faith and reason. They don't leave faith over there and their studies over here. They bring those together. And faculty and student affairs should work together to bring those together. Third, you have to be able to see how Catholic is really lived on this campus. Where are the people that embody the Catholic way? Not everyone has to be that way. But you have to see enough people so that people catch it. And fourth, that we are open to everyone and we help them search for their transcendence. We help everyone find a place in this gigantic cosmic world that we're in. That's our role. So everyone's welcome and we're going to help. The person should be able to articulate this, which most people at most universities that are Catholic can't articulate well. But they should. That is, that we are part of a core belief system that is Christian. I would even go on to say Judeo-Christian at its roots. A place that then builds on that a Catholic worldview with a way to proceed that's built upon the sisters' vision of how to live Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism. So they've given it a certain way of developing. There are schools that say this sentence: I am Franciscan, but not sure we're Catholic. I am Jesuit, but not sure we're Catholic. We're Mercy. I don't know about that Catholic thing. Okay. You can't be articulating that stuff if you're the president. This is really how it works. You're part of a subset, okay? And therefore, I'll give you an example out of my personal life. My name is Galligan-Stierle. I am part of the Galligan-Stierle family. Are there people in my family I don't like? Yes. Do we do some things in my family I don't like? Yes. Am I still Galligan-Stierle? Yes. You are Christian. You might not like everything about being a Christian. You are Catholic. You might not like everything about Catholic. Are you embedded with incarnate world vision? Yes. You might not like all the sisters. It's okay. But that's the order that works out how we see ourselves in this world. We have many charisms. Of the 200, these are some that make up our schools. Charisms, that is the sisters' incarnation, is a little bit like ice cream. I'm in the food module today, right? We have potato salad, now we're on ice cream. You know, you have ice cream, but then you have toppings. You can have a certain topping, but you got to have the ice cream, okay? Got to have Christianity, got to have Catholicism, but you got to have strawberry topping. But you have to have ice cream. You have to have substance to go there, okay? So articulate. Those are some of the things a person has to be able to articulate well as a president. These are some of the things. Do they know the mission and values? Can they articulate them? Can they talk clearly about the charism of the school? Do they know how to craft with the board a compelling vision and then articulate that to the community? Those would be some things. So deliver, I'm on number 3. I got 2 to go here. So I want to take you to Simon Sinek. Some of you may know him. If you haven't gone on the web and seen his 5-7-minute videos, you should go and see them. They're worth the time. He says that almost anyone can tell you what it is they do. And they can also tell you how to go about doing it. The problem is most people don't know why they get up in the morning and why they're working where they're working or why their institution exists. And he says for people to really mobilize and succeed, you have to have clarity here. Interesting enough, sidebar, off text. They have found that retention rates grow with freshmen and sophomores if you can get them to identify very quickly, preferably before they begin, but at least in the first semester, why it is they're here and what it is they're going to be working towards. If you can give them purpose, you increase their likelihood of being retained. And their why for being here doesn't have to be, I want to be a teacher, I want this degree for that. Sometimes intermediate steps are enough, but you have to get clarity on that why or they'll walk, okay? Even if they're scoring high on grades. This is where analytics comes in, because you can, if you have the right analytics, you can ask students to identify why it is they're here, and when they don't have really good reasons, you can go back to them and get more clarity and see if you retain them. Okay, so they know how. Once you get the why, you can move forward as a leader. I suggest, this is Michael's addition to Simon's design, I am convinced that at the end of the day, all that's great, but it only works when you put the right people on the bus, okay? You have the greatest reason why you exist. You don't have the right people delivering why you exist. You're never getting there, okay? So you need to know your what, your how, your why, and your who. And the who has to be a match. That is, they have to personify who you are as an institution. And that's what you said in the back. Susie, I don't know your name, but your point is the three sisters that came cared. I'm still caring. We got people around me that are still caring. We got this going. That's the who. So you get the right people on the bus. Part of the right people on the bus, I want to just emphasize this just to make sure people feel that I'm including you, is that as John Paul II said, very important, in the document on Catholic universities, what do we mean by Catholic universities? All 1,700 around the world, what do we mean? What we mean is people of no faith or all faiths are welcome, join us, and contribute at our Catholic universities. So while you'll hear me talk directly about Catholic identity or mission, etc., I want to be very clear. What I mean by that is an incredibly inclusive way of proceeding. All right? Not based on Michael's idea, but on our church's idea of how we're supposed to do this. Now, that doesn't mean the public gets it, or even sometimes a bishop understands it, to be honest. I worked for the bishops for 6 years. It's complicated. I'm sitting in Rome in the Curia 2 to 3 times a year with the highest officials trying to explain all this. Tell me about this U.S. higher education. We don't get this. We look different than the rest of the world. No one in the world does what we try to do. Okay? So it's complicated. But what we're doing is in line with what John Paul wants us asked and believed we should be doing. And that is that we are committed to the relationship in an educational environment to connecting faith and reason in a way that no other entity in the church does. We're not a Catholic hospital. We're not a grade school. Okay? We're not doing catechesis straight away. What we're doing is we're putting the best thinking, cutting edge of the world search for truth up against our faith. Those two have to go together and survive the test of truth. Okay? So this president needs to be able to deliver managerial experience, we've heard, has to be able to deliver and create a viable plan for mission, vision, and values. You have to be able to hear from this person, how are they going to lead collaboratively, not do they want to lead collaboratively, or what is their leadership style. Do they know how to take somebody and develop talents that are not yet developed? Very important quality. And what system of metrics is this president comfortable working with and delivering and giving to the board to show that you, in fact, are meeting what needs to be done? Those are some deliverables that a good president could do. So celebrate. This is my shortest section. Father Dennis says it. I say Dennis, he was my board chair, so we're very good friends. So Father Dennis said it this way: you don't want someone who's at war with Catholic. That's his words, not mine. But it came up a little earlier, the idea of, connecting this to the Archbishop, connecting this to the church. Somebody who said, I went to grade school, so I know what it means to be Catholic, or, I'm confirmed or whatever. That's really not what we're talking about here. That's good. No one's knocking that. That's a good place to be. But you don't have to have done that. You may have done it a different way. You might have converted 3 years ago. Or you may go to church, but really you're not invested, and you see faith over here and reason over here. There's plenty of Catholics that run their lives that way. Not the best way probably to do it, and not the vision that God has for us, but there are people that do it that way. This we see most often at our Catholic universities when someone was a president at another university that wasn't Catholic, maybe taught as a faculty member for 2 years or something at a Catholic school, Catholic university, but hasn't been in a Catholic university for a long time, and they drop into a Catholic university, and then they run things, and they view campus ministry and mission like they did at their state university. Oh yeah, that's the Newman group. That's the group over there. Yeah, if students want that, they can go over there. But we're teaching literature over here, and faith over here, and physical therapy over here, but they don't. Yeah, if students want that, they'll go over there and pray. Which is really different than how do you teach Catholic social teaching in the middle of being a finance major. That's a different conversation, right? And we actually have books that can help faculty. We actually have journal articles published from people who do that at our schools that could lead someone to that. You want a president that grasps that and understands that, okay? Because Catholicism is an optic. It's sort of a way to vision the way God created the world. That is an integration, that God created something that was beautiful, and God wants the best for us by finding our path in life to bring forth the gifts that are embedded in us that we've developed. And the world around us is to be enjoyed. This is why Catholics are always into, let's bring on the glass of wine, okay? Because we want to celebrate appropriately and with joy what God has given us around us. We need to pause for a sunset. We need to recognize the glory of dance. We need to pause for theater. We need to take time to stop and look at a beautiful piece of art. We need to marvel at a wonderful insight that's cutting-edge research. These are wonders of the world that are before us that we sometimes miss but are part of God's wonderful creation. And that's Catholic worldview. John Paul II in Ex Corde Ecclesiae says, of all the instruments the church has, universities are our best instrument. Think about that. And not only is the best interested, but look at this last line. The future of humanity counts on us doing this well. That is, he's talking about the world imploding unless we get Catholic university teaching right. That is, the values and ethics that we bring to the table have something to say with whether this globe actually continues to exist. The future of humanity. That's what he's talking about. That's how big of a task we have. Now, I joked lightly, maybe you didn't take it as a joke, but I joked lightly about being in Rome and sitting in a curie office, right? And I want to tell you that I have some relatives in Rome that I don't like. I have relatives in my own family I don't like. But I tell you, I have some relatives I love, and I have some folks in Rome that are bigger thinkers than anybody in this room. Okay? I've met some of the most wonderful, creative, broad-minded people that I could ever imagine. And at the end of the day, they want us to think bigger than even we're thinking in the United States, and no one thinks as big as we do in the world. Because I represent us at national meetings, international meetings all the time. Been doing it for 17 years. Next week I'll be in Brazil with the 1,700 schools that are from around the globe. What we're doing in the United States is the best in the world, and we can get better. I don't say that lightly. And it isn't my idea. It's the people around that table I'll be with in Brazil next week that have taught me that. I didn't believe that before I used to sit around those tables. But they say to me, "Could you tell me something about how you do this in the United States? Because you're the best at it than anybody." Okay? I'm in Rome and they go, "Okay, is there any way you could help us in this country over here because we're trying to get this started and you folks are better at this than anybody?" This is the norm, that's how they see us. And that's the responsibility. But we can never be complacent. We have more to do, more to be done. So, at the end, you want a president who says, "It is my privilege to be your president."